going on, guys? Hey, Travis Kennedy here, owner of Kennedy Defensive Solutions. In today's video, I'm going to touch on carbine fundamentals. Specifically, I'm going to touch on three tips on how to shoot faster and accurate. Let's go. All right, first thing I want to cover is safety with the carbine. First thing we need to learn during the fundamentals is safety. First things first is we must have muzzle discipline at all times. So this is always pointed in a safe direction. Finger discipline at all times. And then safety manipulation. With big on the carbine is working this safety manipulation. This must be ingrained into our muscle memory. We should always be able to switch this thing from fire to safe no matter what. Good rule of thumb is whenever the gun's presented towards the target, the gun could be on fire. I'm engaging my threats. Or if I'm doing the drill, engaging my targets. Whenever I break this rifle down, a good habit to have is put the gun on safe here. You must. And especially when you safe and hang, the gun must be on safe when you let it hang here in this position. Okay? First thing I want to talk about is grip. After the safety portion is grip, how I hold this rifle. The way I was taught and the way I like to teach is my dominant hand, it's more of a 70-30, 70 non-dominant, 30% strength in my dominant hand. Majority of the recoil management comes with my non-dominant hand when I grip my foregrip here. With my dominant hand, how I grip this, the grip of the rifle is I'm very high, meaning these finger grooves right here, you know, if I weren't, they fall in line nicely with my hand. How I like to teach it is I stick my ring finger up above the first groove, which then smashes my middle finger up underneath the trigger guard, which gives me a high grip on this. My hand sits very high in this grip, allowing me to have much more control over the rifle, especially when I start taking rapid shots. My non-dominant hand sits up here. I have the Magpul AFG. I like this thing more so than the vertical foregrip. This is just my personal preference. Go with what you like. Here, I stick my hand up here. I like to, with my thumb here, I like to reach over the rail system here. I got this Surefire pressure pad for my light. I use this as a touch point here to really lock down my thumb and non-dominant hand on this rail system, which allows me to then drive into my shoulder, really control this rifle. Like I said, majority of the recoil management comes from here, okay? Got a nice high seat. I'm aggressive with this gun. My non-dominant hand is gripping hard and I'm driving it back into my shoulder pocket. I'm not loose whatsoever. I need to drive it in, keep that thing snug. My right elbow, my dominant here is tucked in and I'm driving into the rifle. So I have full control. A lot of times people are weak on this side and they have a tendency to stand up tall. And when they start rapid firing, this rifle starts to own them. Okay, so biggest point is high grip, non-dominant hand, grabbing that rail system, driving in that shoulder pocket, and then we can engage effectively. All right, here's some examples. I'm gonna shoot and show you where my hand placement is, both my hands. I'm at 10 yards. I'm shooting a steel. what I'm shooting is I have 223 frangible, okay? Going from the high ready, I got the high grip, my dominant hand. My non-dominant hand's already set in place on my Magpul AFG foregrip. My thumb's wrapped over the rail system. It's ready to go. I'm looking over the muzzle, all right? The muzzle's not obstructing my view. I'm not like this, it's close to my face. Here, tucked in, I punch out. Remember, my non-dominant hand's driving this rifle into my shoulder pocket, so I'm nice and secure, nice and tight. Gun goes on fire now because I'm aiming towards my threats. And the rifle's nice and tucked in, locked in. Okay. One more time here, punch out. And as you can see, here my fingers pinch tightly up underneath this trigger guard right here. You'll eventually get some skin wear down there, but don't worry about it. You're gonna have much more control over this rifle. All right, tip number 2, I'm gonna talk about stock placement, and then I'm gonna touch on the high ready position and low ready position. All right, for stock placement, for me, you know, these are adjustable stocks. They have three lengths. I like all the way out, one click in. For me, I'm 5'10". That's my personal preference for my arm length and the eye relief with the optic I'm using. I'm using the EOTech EXPS TAC 2 reflex sight, so it's good on that. High ready position, I'm going to touch on this. This is what I train mostly, or how I train my students. I train law enforcement and military, etc. This is what my background is in, is mostly high ready position. And how I set up for this position, I'm already in my stance. If you haven't already, watch the Handgun Basics YouTube video. A lot of that stuff I teach in that video carries over into the rifle fundamentals. All right, so I'm in my stance, left foot in front of my right. Where I place this buttstock is right here underneath my dominant arm. Okay, it's pinned up against my forearm here, so I have full control over it. I can move if I have to, and I'm carrying the weight. If I had the buttstock up high, now the whole weight of this rifle is bear down on my hand, all right, and my wrist, and I'm weak here. It's a weak position. Here, tucked underneath, my arm is kind of cocked out to the side, because if you do train, maybe you're law enforcement, military, or someone who likes to train with plate carriers and you have kit-on body armor, you want to have it away from your body slightly. You don't want to be tucked into your body. Now you have a lot of snag hazards. It's going to catch when you go to present towards your threat. So cock it out, my elbow's out a little bit. Here I'm looking over the muzzle. Okay, the muzzle's pointing up. It's not obstructing my view. My non-dominant hand's in place. What I touched on with tip 1. As I punch out, it's punching out in a straight line. I'm not tomahawking. I'm not going low then bringing it up. It's here. It's punch out in a straight line. Here, as I punch out, the gun goes on fire. Look where the stock of the rifle hits my face, hits my cheek. That's a touch point, right? Their cheek weld here. That's my cue that the gun's in line where I want it to be. Once it touches there, I drive back with my non-dominant hand, lock it in, and I can engage. One more time. And I'm punching out slightly again to clear my kit. If I'm using a lot of kit, I need to be able to clear it. I don't want to drag this and slow this process down. This has to be fast. Here, I punch out, gun goes on fire, finger goes on trigger, touch point, cheek weld, drive it back, engage. Okay, I'll move fast. Okay, remember, revert that to memory, those touch points with the cheek weld. All right, it's going to come into play especially with low ready right now. Next position, low ready. See this a lot. Very applicable. Both positions are. They have their time and place. Here, my low ready. The stock of the rifle is already in position. It's already in my shoulder pocket. Okay, it's already where I want it to be. It's tight. This isn't low ready. This is a relaxed position here. I'm just relaxed. Low ready, a true low ready is here. I'm ready to fight if I have to. Muzzle's pointed at the dirt in a safe direction. I'm looking over my sights at the target. My non-dominant hand's in position. My trigger hand's ready to go. As soon as I want to present, I drive the rifle up, put the gun on fire, I just watch my head. I dip my head slightly to my cheek well position and can I shoot. Okay. One more time slowly here. I drive it up, drop my head, gun on fire, engage. Okay, low ready is faster than high ready position because there's a lot less movement, a lot less travel time. Here, I'm going to go ahead and time it. Low ready position. Okay, that was a .65. High ready. .101. Do it again. That was a .82. Okay, as you can tell, it's still fast. If you're timing yourself, goal is less than a second from the high and low ready are good times. Practice that, realize the limitations on both. Okay, I like high ready, especially if we're doing close quarters. You can maneuver a lot easier and you're a lot stronger as well. Here, if I were to have to strike somebody, I can move close, tight amongst my teammates. Low ready, I'm a little limited. It's a much faster position, but if I'm doing anything close quarters, this has limitations. So just know that as a thinking shooter, just know your limitations. Try that drill out. All right, tip number 3, I'm going to talk about sight alignment, sight acquisition. I mentioned this earlier in the video that I'm using the EOTech EXPS TAC 2. The reticle is TAC 0. If you don't know what that is, basically the reticle looks like a circle with a center dot and it has 4 ticks at the 12, 3, 6, 9, 3, 6, 9 position. Okay, that's what I've been using for over 10 years. I love this reticle. It's fast, and I can utilize, especially when I shoot optic like this. Both eyes are open. I can acquire my sights quickly. First and foremost, we need to sight this thing in. If you haven't already, or maybe you have, I recommend, my go-to is, I like the 50-yard 0. You can do 25, point of impact 25 and 300, or 50 and 200. Vigilance also makes a good 36-yard 0. Check that out as well. That's also good, especially if you're limited on range distance. That's a great sight and target for the EOTech. Okay. From the high ready position, as I present out, all this leads up into this. From the high, I punch out, both eyes are open, put the gun on fire, I drive it back. Here, engage quickly. What I'm looking at is I'm at this distance, I'm shooting 10 yards steel. I'm putting that 6 o'clock tick right around his neckline to shoot him center mass. With the sight-in distance, you have to realize your holds. Whether I'm shooting from the 3 all the way back here to the 15, I'm going to have different holds within different yard lines. If we're shoot this drill at the 5 or 7 yard line, if I'm shooting a 3-inch circle, I'm probably going to put the 6 o'clock tick at the top of that black circle. Okay, because I need to compensate for this, the optic to the barrel. It's about a 2-inch standoff. Okay, so we need to realize that. Also, try not to focus closing on do not close your non-dominant eye. Focus, especially with the rifle. Squint hard if you're having trouble. Really focus on shooting both eyes open because we want to maintain awareness as well. How I mitigate that is I just squint really hard. Okay. Punch out. Here's high ready. Again, low ready. How we acquire sights fast here is I dip my head quickly onto the buttstock. Know those holds, know your holds for each yard line. It's important as a thinking shooter, we must know this, okay? Run through those things slowly, run through the high ready, 1 full mag, run through the low ready position, 1 full mag. Practice on just taking 1 shot, then practice on taking 2 shots. I mentioned a good drill is from the high and low ready, less than a second. If you can do 2 shots from the high and low ready in less than 1.25 seconds, that's great as well. Try those drills out and train safe. All right, that concludes the carbine fundamentals video. If you haven't already, I have an online training series for handgun fundamentals. Check that thing out. I'll put a link below. Please click like, subscribe to this video, and continue to train and train safe. Teams.